So before we get into these 5 specific roles, it's so important that we get on the same page about what we're really talking about here. When I say positions, I'm not referring to anything physical or to some kind of strategic game you play. This is far more profound than that. Think of it instead as the emotional and psychological space you occupy within the dynamic of your relationship. It's about the energy you bring into the room before you even say a word. It's the unspoken role you step into when you interact with your partner. Are you coming in as a critic, as a caregiver, as a competitor, or as a collaborator? This isn't about doing a specific task, it's about who you are being in that moment, and that energy dictates the entire dance between you. This idea didn't just come out of thin air. It's rooted in the work of the famous psychologist Carl Jung, who talked about something called archetypes. Now, that might sound like a complicated term, but it's actually a very simple and powerful concept. Archetypes are like ancient, universal blueprints for human behavior that live deep within our shared unconscious. They are the fundamental roles that have existed since the beginning of story and myth: the king, the queen, the warrior, the sage, the lover, the jester. We see these figures in every culture's fairy tales and myths because they represent core aspects of ourselves that we all recognize on a soul level. In the context of a relationship, these aren't costumes we put on and take off. They are latent potentials within everyone. A man isn't just a man. He contains the potential for the righteous king, the courageous warrior, the wise magician, and the passionate lover. A woman isn't just a woman. She contains the potential for the sovereign queen, the nurturing mother, the inspiring muse, and the wise sorceress. The quality of our relationships often depends on which of these inner potentials we are unconsciously activating or suppressing in each other. Position 1. The queen, the sovereign feminine. It's a feeling a man can't always articulate, but it runs deep. It's the profound sense of calm and purpose that comes from being with a woman who is, quite simply, the ruler of her own life. This is the essence of the queen, and it's crucial to understand that her crown isn't placed on her head by anyone else, especially not by her partner. She places it there herself. This has nothing to do with dominance over him or a desire to control the relationship. That is a distortion, the shadow side we call the tyrant. A persona rooted in insecurity that manifests as being dismissive, controlling, and critical. The true queen's sovereignty is internal. It's about her unshakable authority over her own domain, her energy, her time, her emotions, and her purpose. She respects herself so fundamentally that she commands respect effortlessly from those around her, not through demands, but through her presence. She isn't looking for someone to complete her. She is already whole and seeking a partner to share her kingdom with. The opposite shadow, the weakling, abdicates her throne entirely, looking to her partner to validate her worth, give her a purpose, and soothe her insecurities, which creates a heavy burden of neediness. So why does a man quietly beg for this? It's not about a power struggle. It's about inspiration. A man possesses within himself the potential for what we might call the inner king, the part of him that is purposeful, disciplined, protective, and visionary. But this potential often lies dormant. A queen, by her very nature, cannot be partnered with a boy. Her integrated wholeness, her clear boundaries, and her dignified presence act as a powerful mirror and an invitation. She doesn't nag him to be better. Her very existence challenges him to rise to the occasion. He feels a natural, almost primal urge to match her level of integrity and self-possession. To be worthy of a queen, he must step into his own kingship. He becomes more purposeful because he sees her living her purpose. He becomes more protective because he sees something of immense value to protect. He becomes more disciplined because he sees her upholding her own standards. Her sovereignty doesn't threaten his, it inspires his. In the messy, beautiful reality of everyday life, This looks less like royalty and more like quiet, consistent action. It's the woman who, when feeling overwhelmed, communicates a clear boundary without apology, saying, "I need an hour to myself to recharge," understanding that this isn't rejection but self-care. It's her continuing to dedicate time to her own mission, whether that's a career, a creative project, or a community role, and talking about it with passion, showing that her world is vibrant and multifaceted. It's carrying herself with a quiet dignity that refuses to engage in petty gossip or self-deprecation. It's making decisions confidently, from what to have for dinner to larger life choices, trusting her own judgment. This isn't about being inflexible or never compromising. It's about coming to the partnership from a place of already being complete. When a man encounters this, it doesn't make him feel smaller, it makes him feel lucky. It gives him a foundation of immense strength to stand on and a powerful reason to become the best, most integrated version of himself. Position 2. The guardian, the protector of the sacred. Beyond the day-to-day compromises and shared responsibilities, every strong relationship has something fragile at its core, a unique, private world that only the two of you share. This is your shared emotional space, the us against the world. It's built on inside jokes, quiet understandings, and a trust that feels like home. This space is sacred, and its well-being requires a guardian. This role isn't about building walls to keep your partner in. That is the shadow side, the jailer, who operates from jealousy and insecurity, seeking to isolate and control. The true guardian operates from a place of fierce love and discernment, protecting the relationship from anything that would poison it from the outside or erode it from within. She understands that this sacred space is the very heart of your connection, and she actively shields its peace and sanctity from external negativity, like the criticisms of others, and from internal threats, like contempt, constant criticism, or the distraction of life's endless noise. The opposite shadow, the neglector, is unaware or passive, allowing any and all influences to trample through this delicate space, leaving the relationship feeling exposed, chaotic, and perpetually under siege. A man's longing for this protection is profound and often unspoken. He is often the one who feels the weight of providing and protecting in a more external, tangible way. He works to build a stable life, a home, a future, the physical castle. But what is a castle without peace within its walls? When his partner consciously takes on the role of guarding the emotional and spiritual sanctity of their union, it validates his deepest efforts. It tells him that what he is working to build is not just a structure, but a true sanctuary. Her vigilance makes the castle worth protecting. It transforms his daily struggles from a mere grind into a noble cause. Furthermore, this protected space becomes the one place where he feels safe enough to let his guard down completely. In a world that often tells men to be invulnerable, having a partner who guards a space where he can be soft, uncertain, and vulnerable without fear of attack or judgment is an incredible relief. It allows him to access parts of himself he often has to hide. In practice, being the guardian is a series of conscious, often subtle choices. It's the choice to defend him when a friend makes a snide remark about him, gently but firmly shifting the conversation instead of joining in for a laugh. It's the wisdom in the heat of an argument to take a deep breath and choose a de-escalating phrase like, "I'm too upset to talk productively right now. Can we pause and come back to this in 20 minutes?" Instead of unleashing a hurtful volley meant to win. It's the intentional act of curating your shared environment, perhaps by putting phones away during dinner, choosing not to bring work stress into the bedroom, or playing music that calms the atmosphere after a long day. It's filtering out toxic influences, whether that's limiting time with chronically negative people or choosing not to let societal drama infiltrate your conversations. This guardianship isn't a heavy burden. It's an act of love that creates a container of safety and trust. Within that container, love isn't just sustained, It deepens, grows, and truly flourishes. Position 3. The muse, the inspirational force. There is a profound difference between trying to motivate someone and being someone who is inherently motivating. This is the space the muse occupies. Her power doesn't lie in pep talks or pushing him to be better. It radiates from her own genuine engagement with life. She is curious, creative, and passionate about her own interests. She finds wonder in the world, and that energy is magnetic and contagious. It's crucial to distinguish this from the shadow side, the fantasy who lives in a dream world disconnected from reality, or from the critic who diminishes his efforts and dreams with negative feedback. The true muse is grounded in her authentic self, and her inspiration comes from sharing that self freely. She isn't his personal cheerleader. She is a woman who is so fully alive in her own right that she reminds him of the joy and passion that are possible. A man craves this not for ego, but for connection. In the daily grind of responsibilities, it's easy for a man to lose touch with his own inner fire, with the parts of him that are heroic, creative, and passionate, what we might call his inner lover and warrior. The muse, simply by being herself, rekindles that. When he sees her eyes light up while talking about a book, a piece of art, or a personal goal, it pulls him out of his functional, logical mind and back into a world of feeling and possibility. Perhaps most importantly, she often sees the potential of the man he aspires to be, even when he can't see it himself. Her belief isn't blind praise. It's a quiet, unwavering recognition of his best qualities. By reflecting that vision back to him, she gives him the courage to actually become it. In practice, this is sharing her own discoveries and excitements without hesitation, being playful and inviting him into moments of lightness, expressing specific admiration for his strengths and the effort he puts into things, and engaging in conversations that go beyond the logistics of daily life into ideas, dreams, and deeper feelings. Position 4. The partner in arms, the ally in the struggle. Life is inherently challenging. It presents obstacles, setbacks, and battles, both big and small. In these moments, a man isn't always looking for a savior or a therapist. He is seeking a loyal ally. The partner in arms is exactly that, a reliable and resilient teammate. This concept moves the relationship dynamic away from a parent-child model, where one person nags and the other resists, into an adult-adult alliance focused on shared mission and problem-solving. This is not the shadow of the dependent, who becomes another fragile problem he has to manage and solve, adding to his burden. Nor is it the adversary, who, especially under stress, becomes an opponent fighting against him instead of the problem alongside him. The true partner in arms stands shoulder to shoulder with him. She is grounded and possesses her own resilience, which means she doesn't crumble at the first sign of trouble. The reason this role is so deeply yearned for is that it fulfills an ancient, human need for a trusted companion. It counteracts the profound loneliness that can come with facing struggles alone. When a man knows his partner is a true ally, he feels an immense sense of relief and solidarity. He doesn't have to carry the weight entirely by himself. He knows she has his back, not just in words, but in action. This transforms a challenge from a solitary burden into a shared mission that can actually strengthen their bond. Practically, this looks like approaching a problem with a "how can we solve this together?" mindset. It's offering solutions or support instead of just vocalizing complaints. It's handling her own stress with a degree of grace so that it doesn't automatically become his crisis. It's having his back in a difficult social situation or a family conflict, presenting a united front. It's working together on common goals, whether it's a financial plan, a home project, or supporting each other's career ambitions. Position 5. The authentic vulnerable, the heart with a door. True intimacy cannot exist without vulnerability. But there is a world of difference between vulnerability that connects and vulnerability that pushes away. The authentic vulnerable woman shares her heart from a place of strength and self-awareness. She can express her fears, her hurts, and her needs without collapsing into helplessness or using her emotions as a weapon. This is not the shadow of the emotional dumper, who overwhelms him with uncontrolled outpourings of trauma, pain, and need, leaving him feeling used and drained. Nor is it the fortress, who is so walled off and protective that she shares nothing, creating an impenetrable barrier to true closeness. The authentic vulnerable woman has a heart with a door. She can let someone in, but she also knows how to close it to protect herself. Her vulnerability is an act of trust and strength, not a sign of weakness. This is perhaps what men beg for most silently, as it is the very gateway to deep intimacy. Controlled, conscious vulnerability is incredibly powerful. For a man, when his partner shares her true feelings in this way, it does several things. First, it signals a level of trust that is the highest compliment she can pay him. It tells him he is a safe harbor. Second, it allows him to access his own deep well of empathy, compassion, and nurturing instinct, his inner healer or magician. It gives his innate protective drive a true, noble, and welcome purpose, not to fix her, but to hold space for her. It invites him to drop his own guard and be vulnerable in return. In everyday terms, this is using "I feel" statements, saying, "I felt hurt when that happened," instead of the accusatory, "You always do this." It's asking for support directly by saying, "I'm really anxious about this and I just need you to listen," instead of expecting him to read her mind. It's sharing a dream or a fear without blame or agenda, simply to let him see the real her. This kind of vulnerability isn't a burden. It's an invitation into the deepest parts of her world, and it is the most potent catalyst for a truly soulful connection. It's so important to understand that this isn't about putting on a performance or switching between 5 different masks throughout the day. The goal was never to fragment yourself into roles, but rather to recognize that these are all already innate aspects of your being. The ultimate aim is integration, weaving these separate threads into a single, strong, and multifaceted tapestry. A woman who is whole and psychologically mature isn't just one of these things. She has access to them all. She possesses the profound wisdom to know which aspect of herself is needed in a given moment. There are times that call for the unwavering sovereignty of the queen to set a boundary, and moments that require the soft, open heart of the authentic vulnerable to foster connection. There are challenges that demand the resilience of the partner in arms, and spaces that need the protective energy of the guardian to maintain peace. And there are always opportunities to tap into the inspired joy of the muse. This isn't about being 5 different people. It's about being one complete person who is fluid, adaptable, and deeply responsive to life. And this entire journey, at its core, is for her. While a relationship may benefit immensely, the primary work of embracing these aspects is an internal project of self-discovery and healing. It's about a woman reclaiming all the parts of herself that she may have been told to suppress: her strength, her boundaries, her passion, her resilience, and her softness. By consciously embodying these powerful aspects of the feminine, she isn't doing it to control a man's behavior or to get a specific reaction. She is doing it to become more fully herself. She is healing the parts of her that felt powerless, the parts that felt she had to hide her strength or her sensitivity to be loved. This process of inner integration is its own reward. But here is the beautiful, almost magical consequence of doing this inner work for yourself. It creates a powerful gravitational pull. You begin to operate from a place of wholeness and clarity about what you embody and, by extension, what you require in a partner. You are no longer signaling a need for someone to complete you or save you. Instead, you are broadcasting a reality where you are already complete. This energy is unmistakable. It naturally attracts and invites a different kind of man. A man who is also on his own path toward integration, who is ready to meet that wholeness with his own. It's not about forcing change in another, but about transforming your own energy so completely that the only people who can truly thrive in your new reality are those who are willing and able to step up into their own highest potential. You stop asking a boy to act like a king, and instead, by being a queen, you create a kingdom that only a true king would recognize as home.